Welcome to Spirited Straight Talk, the podcast to help you thrive with the help of spirit. I'm Deb Sheppard, psychic medium, spiritual teacher, and author. Each week, I bring new insights to help you heal from loss, connect with spirit, and turn setbacks into triumphs. So let's get started. Are you in this place of feeling numb, disconnected, not sure why? Like, geez, I used to be so engaged in something that felt so good. All of a sudden, it just feels like it's straight, old-fashioned vanilla, which I do like. But with that said, we are here today on Spirited Straight Talk. I'm Deb Sheppard. The little Google in the background is Dana, my wife, and we're going to talk about this topic of feeling numb and disconnected. And there's so many layers. As we were talking about this before the podcast, I realized this is not a simple answer. Yeah. And I know throughout my life, there's times where I just shut down. And especially if we're going through a lot in our life, I think our souls have this ability to say, I need to zone out so I don't feel anything because it's too much if I feel. Yeah. And for me, I have to be engaged in the universe. I got to connect with people's guides and their loved ones and things like that. But I can also feel when we're unplugged, we disconnect, and we want to know the reasons why. And you and I were talking, what are the different reasons why we become numb, why we get disconnected? And I think part of it, a little teeny piece of it, is in order to function in what's going on in our life, we just disconnect. We don't feel, so we don't have to make any decisions. We don't have to dig in or to look at things. But we started going into this, and I know throughout my life I felt that way when I'm like, okay, let me take antidepressants. Maybe I'm supposed to be feeling something different. And now I can look back and realize why I had those moments. I'm going to use the word, we're using the word numb. I just became numb. I think a lot that I was feeling was judgment, maybe from family or judgment from my community. And I didn't have the energy or maybe even asking for help. Like, how do I get out of this? And why am I feeling that way? And as we've talked about, I think judgment is a huge piece of when we disconnect. If we're not feeling safe in a container, then it puts the kink in the hose, as we always say. That kink in the hose goes, wait a minute, I'm not feeling comfortable and safe.
So are you saying that it's possibly avoidance too? Like disconnection is just avoiding looking at our stuff?
I think it's avoidance, but I also don't think we know what we're looking at. What am I looking at? Our first protection, our ego is saying, you know what, you're not feeling safe. Instead of looking within, we're going to project out and say, this isn't feeling right for me anymore. If you're in a work environment and you're feeling judged, you're like, wait a minute, I don't feel like I can participate in this job because I'm not being included. I'm not being seen or heard. And so I think as a mechanism, we shield ourselves. Let's numb ourselves. And so I think there maybe addictions come into play during these times. We can go, shopping too much. We can drink too much. We can, become really distracted and busy with things. Those distractions make us feel like we're not numb or we're not looking within. Those distractions like, no, I'm fine. I'm getting all this other stuff and look what I'm doing. So the ego is saying, yes, you're fine. This doesn't serve me anymore. When reality is that issue is still there. Right. We call it the shadow work. The shadow work, the things that we don't want to look at is still in the shadows. But if I'm over here looking happy, being distracted, what's drawing me away. And when we feel that excitement, even if it's chaotic, what we talk about, that's the dopamine, right? If I'm even dealing with chaos, at least I feel like I'm participating in life. I'm not numb. I'm not in avoidance. I'm not numb. Because you're distracting yourself from really what's within. So when that stuff that you're distracted from calms down, you still get to sit in the same place.
And it's also, so if you're taking yourself to that place of disconnection, we'll call it disconnection, how do you get out of that? You know what I mean? Like, how do you realize that's what you're doing and get yourself out of that place? Because I can definitely distract myself pretty good if I don't want to look at something yet.
Oh, yeah.
I can get
That's
distracted.
the procrastinator.
Let's buy
right?
another cat.
Yeah, let's buy another cat. Is that more, procrastinate more on something. Let's not
Right.
look at it. And what we will do is we will find other things that create a value. If I'm over here busy doing this, that's creating a value, even though I'm avoiding something. And so we keep bumping up against it.
Right.
And we feel it because our soul knows, especially if we've already done some deep work, that expansion is still waiting on the sideline. Okay, when are you going to invite me back in? It's allowing ourselves to go into the distraction for a period of time until we feel we want to abandon that. I think there's some individuals that continue to become distracted, that numbing. They keep doing that because it served them for a period of time. And they're going to keep doing it till they finally realize, I'm not feeling satisfied anymore.
Yeah.
This isn't working anymore. And again, the distractions could be, I need to organize, I need to be over here, I need to take care of that. And that creates a value, that those distractions. And, I know for sure I can own that. I can be easily looking at the squirrel or something else versus going within. But your soul knows at some point that things are going to continue to revisit and pop back up until you're ready to go, okay. The universe doesn't go, well, you only have so much time to do this. It gives you that allowance, that freedom. But when you're not looking at it, what is that truly saying?
So what you're saying is your kind of take on disconnection or feeling numb is that you have distracted yourself, that you're actually numbing yourself to not feel and to not take your lesson on just yet because you're not ready. So it's kind of just pulling yourself away
Absolutely.
from what
If you think about the people that are in our coaching program, many times they said, in my 30s, I was so intuitive, I was so connected, and then these things happened to me. Or I used to feel these things and now I don't anymore. So they had a period of their time that they really felt connected to the universe. They really felt connected to their soul. They were listening. Plugged in. Not that life got in the way. We let life get in the way. We allowed life to come in. We felt very secure with that. But the distraction and the disconnection became to a place where we were functioning but not feeling the connection. And they miss that. They go, I miss feeling that connection. How do I get it back? So that's what we see a lot. There are people coming back. They go, I miss that connection with the universe. And so they're in a community that gives them the opportunity to connect with like-minded. But I think when we go on another path, it's our soul also saying, do you really want this? How valuable is that connection? And they may have taken it for granted. Maybe they just didn't respect it. Maybe they felt like, oh, it's just always right there. You don't have to work for it. This is taking me to a memory in my mind. I remember at 47 getting my black belt, feeling really in shape, thinking, oh, it's going to be like this forever. It's not, right? Time goes on, you stop the discipline, you stop doing all those things, and then to get back into it takes a lot more work. Your body is not going to respond the way it did several years ago. And so it's the same thing. It's not that you can't bring back that connection. It's what's it going to take because you've distracted yourself for such a long period of time. And I think it's also asking yourself, what was the reasons I disconnected? What was the reasons that I became numb? What shadow work? What are the things in my life that kept me over here versus really a place that I felt like it was at home? And I think the people around us can be an influence. I think life can be an influence. I think there's also the knowledge of, well, I know it, I can always go back to it, but it's hard to get back on the bicycle. I have a 3-wheeler now. I still have struggles getting on it. When we get back into those places and we reconnect again, it almost feels like a fish out of water. I think it's a little bit of a struggle for some of us to come back because we're living in the past. And how do we get to the present again? I hear people say, I used to be able to do this. I used to be able to, I'm like, that used to be is a great story. So I think there's some grief there.
Yeah. So I'm in a place of feeling numb and disconnected. What do you say? What do you tell me?
Come sit next to me. I think with everything, there's something about getting back in the baby steps and not going back to your past or having regrets about the disconnect. I think the fact that you are realizing that you're numb or realizing that you have disconnected is huge. To say, oh wow, I'm not feeling it anymore. What's happened? Why do I have this block? Or we don't really call it that, but it's like the kink in the hose. Why am I feeling that? To me, that's like, oh, let's dig in.
Mm-hmm. That's where the magic is.
That's where the magic is. If you're feeling disconnected and you're feeling sort of numb or are numb, then what creates that feeling of being alive again? Mm-hmm. And are you doing it as a protection? I think for many of us that feel that disconnect, it's that we're feeling judged or we're feeling not enough. We're feeling there's going to be growth, but maybe I'm not, subconsciously, maybe I'm not ready for that growth.
For that growth, yeah. That makes sense.
This isn't easy work. Mm-mm. And for me to walk away would be hard. Like, I'd be on the struggle bus for sure. So there are times, though, that I need to pause. I need to be able to not be so hard on myself. We're always going in and looking so deeply at what needs to be worked on, mm-hmm. What needs to expand. And I think for a lot of people that do this work, it's exhausting. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we just don't want to have to think about things.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I'm like, can we
have some ice cream today?
Yeah. So I think it's giving ourselves permission sometimes to take a little bit of a break. But I also think for anyone that's been on a really devoted spiritual path, mm-hmm. is that when you are feeling the need to pull away, to look and ask more questions. What am I avoiding something? Mm-hmm. Is there things underneath that I'm not wanting to see? Mm-hmm. Is it that I just want to feel less responsible or accountable?
Yeah.
There's a lot of accountability in this kind of practice. Yeah. And is it the fact that my soul needs a break? Mm-hmm. And that's okay too, whatever that looks like for people. I don't think it's easy to walk away from any of this stuff, but it's also hard to come back in and start up the engines again, right? To get it all going. Yeah. And I think because it's not only we have a spiritual practice for ourselves as well. We're always looking at things deeper. But I also know that for other people, they have a lot of other things in their life. Mm-hmm. And we pretty much, this is our life.
This is how we live.
And I, maybe that's something for us to look at too. Like, can I not have a 24-hour thought about, how do we improve what we're doing? How do we improve within ourselves? We're always looking in the mirror and saying, okay, is this my ego? How can I approach this differently? How can I be better at what I'm doing? Where's my growth that I need to see my growth and my expansion? And I think it's hard to keep our feet on the fire at times.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just saying yes.
It is. It's hard to keep that going and keep doing the dance. Mm-hmm.
There's a part of it that's so rewarding.
Oh, it is.
As you do see your growth and you see your growth edge, mm-hmm. and you feel the crunchiness is where the magic is. Mm-hmm. And so, when you're not in that, when you're not feeling that growth edge, sometimes you feel like you've stalled. Mm-hmm. And so, how do you stay in that place where you remain connected, you don't numb, and you don't pull away at the same time?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think part of it is, because we were teaching this the other day, I started teaching some things on joy, because a lot of classes are just heavy classes. Mm-hmm. There can be some tough topics. And I think we forget to bring in the joy with this, and we become numb and protected and disconnected because it's a lot to feel all these things. It almost feels like sandpaper at times.
Yeah.
It's not some marketing tool like, come join us and feel raw. You know, I think it's really realizing to people, you're taking away some of these layers that you've been carrying, the armor.
And so what I'm hearing you say is that disconnection is armor, and that you're just avoiding feeling things. So, you know, allowing yourself to begin to feel again is a way through this in a way to go back to connection.
The other thing that you're saying, and I'm thinking of this too, I think when we feel angry or we feel upset about something, we're not thinking that we're numb or disconnected. We actually feel like we're really feeling when actually we're avoiding.
Yeah.
You know, anger is a great tool. Anger helps us dig. It's energy that we can say, okay, why am I so angry? And I know when I get angry, I'm like, okay, where's this really? I'm not angry at this situation. It just dug up stuff from the past.
Yeah.
So it's for me to kind of turn my back and go, what's old stuff that's still here? So when people, we may see them as disconnected or numb, and they may feel like, no, I'm finally really alive because I'm angry. I'm upset.
Yeah. Which
that's really still, it's feeling, but it's not the truth of what is really underneath it all.
Yeah.
It takes a while to dig in. It takes perseverance. It takes courage. You're brave to look at these things and seeing all these things. I know there are times in my journey that I'm just like, I just don't want to look at this again for a while, but it's not long because I feel like I feel empty inside, and I know that my soul says, no, you're on this journey to really learn, and
you came here to do this.
That's your purpose, to come learn these things, dig back in. What would be your advice?
I don't know. Look at your shit.
Yeah, look at your shit.
I don't know. And I say that bluntly, but from in my experience, I know when I feel disconnected that there's more. If I'm feeling that, if I feel like I'm numbing myself or I'm feeling disconnected, I know that I need to figure out why. Yeah. And that's just me, and not everybody can do that. Not everybody can have the courage to do that.
And I think when you disconnect or become numb, it's your body saying, I need a pause to reflect, but it doesn't mean you have to shut it all down and go into a cave. What it means is, where is the wound?
Yep.
Where is the area of your life that hasn't really been touched to be healed? And I keep laughing at this age that, in doing this work for a long time, there can't be more. There can't be more. And to my surprise, I'm like, oh yeah, I thought I dealt with that. And there's another layer. And there's so many times I'm like, I just don't want to deal with it anymore. I just don't want to look at it.
So when do you get to coast?
Yeah, when I get to coast. On vacation for a week.
That's about it.
That's about it.
A week vacation.
Well, I was thinking about, we were talking about, how we're wired. And my mom, still living, will say, well, you just can't let these things get to you. You can't look at the past. Yeah. And what do is I dig up the past constantly and look at each layer that I'm still carrying that is still struggling. And I think there are so many people that just say, it's in the past, I can't change that. But as I know, as I move forward, that story is going to come back up to greet me one more time and shake my hand and say, I'm here because you didn't heal it. Yeah. And so we can do it voluntarily or be dragged kicking and screaming.
Yeah, because, you talk about this all the time, that when we ignore it, it keeps coming up. And then our body gets ill. It's
like having a toothache and keep taking something to make the toothache go away. It doesn't go away. It just festers until you're in such pain that you have to go and deal with it.
You have to look at it. Yeah.
You have to look at it. And that's what happens, is that we can numb the pain and the suffering. We can disconnect from it. We can pretend like it's not there. But eventually it just kind of creeps itself back up and you're like, shit, why is this here? I think there's a few things. If you're in that place of you're just going through the motions. You're just hanging on. You feel like you're not feeling things. You're not engaging. You're not trying to celebrate life anymore. To really sit down and maybe journal. Think of some things of when you felt really good, like when you felt engaged. What was going on in your life? And now, what's led up to this? What are some of the little stepping stones? The little things that came into your life that caused you to go into that protection mode, to say, I don't want any of this in my life anymore. And to evaluate, how do you want to be in the next 6 weeks? How do you want to be the next 6 months, in the next 6 years? Because it will continue exactly what you're putting out there. Mm-hmm. You will continue in that path, and you will be fine, but it will not be healed.
Yeah.
It's still sitting right there. Mm-hmm. And I think so many of us think when things in the past are in the past, it will constantly surround you one more time. Or one more time again, and one more time again, until we pay attention to it and see those patterns. I have been disconnected. I have been numb. And they were some of the most difficult times in my life. I'm glad I've been through those. I'm glad I'm on the other side. It will probably happen a few more times in my lifetime. But I don't want that to be my life. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be numb or disconnected. I want to be engaging. I want to be connected. And how do we do that? How do we do that? And it takes an effort. Yeah. I think the shame and guilt comes into that we maybe are feeling that right now. If you're feeling numb and disconnected when you have all this knowledge base, what does it feel like to walk away from it?
Yeah.
Right? I think, too, it helps that you and I have each other. Yeah. When we feel we're not completely on our A game. We have the other person to say, okay, well, how do we get you back on? How do we get us more engaged again? And it usually is ice cream, but that's just one of the ways to do it. How do we then pull ourselves into that again? And the other question that I'm thinking, what if you've been in that space for a really long time and you don't realize it could be better? That would really be sad. Like, you've been numb for a really long time. Mm-hmm. You've been not engaging with people, except maybe a few family members, maybe a couple of people you work with, but you're not connecting with the rest of the world. What are you keeping yourself from? What is possible that you're not wanting to have happen in your life? And you must think that, as I'm thinking about this, I think sometimes people stay in that state because they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Yeah. Maybe they're waiting for, like, this is what life is. It doesn't get any better. I'm better off than some other people. They start evaluating that their life could be a lot worse, so I'm going to stay right here where I think it's safe. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't always mean that it includes happiness and joy and expansion and experiences.
Very true.
Disconnected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you have to say about this topic?
I don't know. I feel like we touched on everything.
Yeah. So my biggest encouragement is, if you are feeling that sense of being disconnected, numb, nothing's really bringing you happiness and joy, is just to dig in a little bit. Like, what is it that's going to bring you some happiness? I talked about this the other day in one of my classes about experiencing joy, to add it when we're having a struggle in life. But one of the girls said, I have this book on joy that's been sitting here for 4 years on my table. I've never opened it. Does that say something about who we are?
Yeah, it does.
I have a book of joy right here in front of me every day for 4 years and did not open that book. We become numb. Mm-hmm. We become, doing the same thing every day and not acknowledging that we can live life in a different perspective. Thank you for joining us on this topic of feeling numb and disconnected. Just know there is another way. And with that said, please go to my website, debsheppard.com, and check out our coaching program, The Solution. It is a wonderful community, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again.